comfortable with you. I feel like so comfortable with you. I feel like I'll always love you. I'll always love you. Always.
Yes, there will be hockey talk and a whole lot more. It was a wild night in the world of wrestling, in the world of hockey, in the NBA, all of it. It was absolute madness, and we're going to talk about it here on Couch Potato Diary for everything that it is, starting now. everyone to Couch Potato Diary. I was even looking at things before that, making sure that that sort of a thing wouldn't happen. But, oh well. Welcome to the show, everyone. Coming up on this one today, we're going to go over a wild night on Monday Night Raw. I'm very choked up about it. Plus a wild night in the NBA playoffs, which we hadn't been able to say yet. And a lot of chaos in the NHL. So let me know your thoughts as we are live on youtube.com/@CouchPotatoDiary, twitch.tv/PrimetimePK, and kick.com/PrimetimePK. Let me know your thoughts on everything we watched on a Wild Monday. What had your attention on a Wild Monday? As always, presented by Sea of Dead. There. Check out seaofdead403.ca for that great Calgary swag. Maybe some new stuff coming soon. Just saying. So check it out there. And of course, you can also help out the show by going over to swiftenergy.gg. Use the code PKPrimetime for that 25% off. Yeah. Always appreciate it when you guys are able to do that. Apparently, we're a little choked up all here on this Monday, but that's not going to slow us down, as it was quite the Monday. We're going to start in the world of professional wrestling. As we said, the WWE needed a big show coming out of WrestleMania. They didn't make up for all the sins of the past, but boy, did they try. Let's talk about it. The WWE is now off of the road to WrestleMania and now getting ready for the Backlash. And there was quite a lot of backlash on Sunday night into Monday about the WrestleMania that we all had to sit through and everything like that. And then when the time came, Monday Night Raw delivered. We were talking about how we needed something big from this show, and I think we got something big from this show. I really enjoyed this Monday Night Raw. It doesn't make up for what was a lackluster WrestleMania. It doesn't make me think, oh, you know what, the creative direction with the John Cena thing was the right thing. None of that. It was good, though. It was good. And like, you think back to where we were a year ago, at the Raw after WrestleMania, and it's Cody, and he's just finished the story, and The Rock comes out and he says, we'll meet soon. And he whispers something in Cody's ear, and Cody is a little taken aback and a little surprised. And what The Rock was whispering was, we're not going to pay this off. This was it. I'm going to tease that we're going to pay this off, but we're not actually going to pay this off. Apparently that's what it was, which it took a lot to say that, whispered. But it is frustrating when you think back to where we were at the Raw after WrestleMania last year and now where it is at now, and to think of all the potential that you could have had and everything that we were all excited for. I am still a little annoyed by all of it, and it is still quite frustrating that everything has kind of happened in the way that it has happened. But still, putting that aside, it was a good Monday Night Raw. I think when you look at like what we are getting now out of the Cena thing, and Cena was great. Like he plays off of a live audience so incredibly well, and he really does do a great job of just like reading and reacting when he is out there on the mic. It was phenomenal work that he did. And when like the crowd was funny when they were doing the we are sorry, and then Cena's like, they're saying we're not sorry. Perfect, excellent, 10 out of 10, no notes, brilliant. Loved that he did that. I thought that was really, really funny when he was able to kind of go on the fly and switch that up and still turn the crowd on him. And then when the crowd starts booing Cody a little bit, he calls everyone a bunch of like sorry bastards or something like that for not being behind Cody Rhodes and everything. So I thought the promo was great. I thought like him counting down the days, and he's like, that's dates, that's not matches. You say I can't wrestle, I don't need to wrestle. Oh, it was all very good from John Cena. So some excellent work there from Cena. And then you get the tight shot that we got with Joe Hendry, and out comes Randy Orton, and ba-bam! And we are getting the feud that we were hoping for with Cena versus Orton one more time. Backlash is going to be in St. Louis. That just so happens to be the home of one Randy Orton, so it makes a whole lot of sense to go in that direction. And I think a build-up with those two guys on different ends now of the babyface heel dynamic is going to be spectacular. I think it is going to be just a whole lot of fun to see those guys really start to ramp things up, and I'm very excited for that feud. We still don't get any explanation of the Rock thing. I think at this point, I'm not saying we should just forget it and move on, because it is so incredibly frustrating that we just have to forget it and just move on. But there is that there is at least a lot that is there now with John Cena and Randy Orton that we can at least push forward and still have that little thing in the but still fun. So we're going to be all right that way going forward. After that, we have the women's tag team titles on the line. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria defend against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I thought this match was awesome. I thought the crowd was really getting into it. There was a lot of great spots between all of them. Like Lyra, the character hasn't really connected yet, but hot damn is she good as a wrestler. And Liv Morgan is great, as always. And I mean, the reasons that I thought that they were going to retain when I thought it was going to be Bayley kind of play out here. I like having Liv just be in charge of the tag team division for a little while and having her be the one who is like, she just gets to kind of mold it in her own way and be the star of this division while the women's title picture kind of works itself out. The big moment here, obviously, after the match is done, Becky wallops Lyra, and the sorry bastards that were this crowd chanting the one more time when Becky comes out and starts beating down Lyra Valkyria, setting up a Lyra heel turn when she is going for a 17th World Championship 20 years from now. But I thought, like, I do think that this makes sense. You do have to take a couple logistical leaps with this one a little bit, with Becky getting the opportunity to come back, with Bayley being attacked. So did Becky attack Bayley knowing that she was then going to be disappointed by Lyra? Was this just a spur of the moment thing? Like I almost want there to be like a Becky kind of apology thing next week. Like, I was in the moment, I overreacted, I'm sorry, we're still a team, whatever, and let's try to push through it this way. And then there's another attack and something like that. Like, this was so in the moment that there is almost no possible way Becky could have planned this out or anything like that. So I almost want this to be just explained as this was spur of the moment. I'm sorry. Let's go back and let's do it. And then they lose again, and it's and fuck your face, and just starts beating her up again. That's kind of where I want the direction for this one to go. But overall, like I think it's a great storyline for Lyra. I think that this is probably will be good for the Intercontinental title division as well, to have Becky Lynch in there for a little bit. Continuing on with our Raw After Mania recap, but a reminder, we're on Twitch right now. Not the only time we're going to be on Twitch today. Going to be back up there at 3 o'clock Mountain Time. Going to be doing a hockey stream on there today as we continue our Flames rebuild, and I'm in the mood to talk a little bit more hockey, so we'll get into that. But continuing on with the Raw After Mania here, New Day comes out. They say they are the best tag team champions of all time, and no team, living or dead, are as good as they are. And I was like, sometimes when you get those things, it's, well, out comes someone to prove them wrong. I'm like, well, they can't bring a dead tag team back. That literally doesn't work. So what are we going to do? And admittedly, Alpha Academy was not top of my priority list for that. Maxine Dupree comes out and kind of proves that in-ring ability isn't the only thing she needs to work on, but she's trying, at least. And I said before, we're briefly in the build to WrestleMania, I would like it if this act could be taken seriously a little bit. And I know, like, I feel like I'm doing that with every comedy thing. Like, oh, well, if we could take it seriously, that'd be great. And you do still need comedy and entertainment on your programming. But these two guys can actually go a little bit. And so it'd be nice if they were a bit of a more serious act. But they come out. There's a 1 minute man joke because these guys beat the New Day in a minute, a match that everyone remembers. And we're about to get it. Lights go out. Rusev is here. And my guy, he has spent every waking moment, not on television, in a gym. He, get out the duct tape. This guy is ripped. Oh my word. Rusev, yoked, comes out and just kicks the shit out of everyone. And we have a beatdown, and off we go. I do think, like, I had kind of thrown out a couple of options for New Day getting some muscle. I think Rusev would work. A new Rusev Day could be here. I wouldn't mind if Rusev and New Day kind of join forces a little bit and start to push forward. So I think that there could be something there with Rusev and the New Day. I think that's a great pairing. And I mean, Deeds in the chat here, Braun and Big E. Man, if you want to get Braun in and have him going up against Rusev and Big E, like Big E forms a group now with Braun and a couple other. Honestly, fuck it. Big E is in charge of Alpha Academy, and he brings in Braun Strowman to help them out, and we get that kind of a clash. Let's set that one up. I mean, look, I don't know how much Braun fits with the Academy part of the Alpha Academy name, but my guy, when you look up Alpha in the dictionary, he pops up. So we could make that work. I think that would be fun. I'm loving the suggestion there from Deeds in the chat over on twitch.tv/primetimepk. So no, I think there are possibilities with this one anyway, and I think it could be a pretty fun way to go with a few different directions. Then Io Sky comes out and says she is the best, cuts a promo in super not her native language, but still get the crowd behind her a little bit. And then Stephanie Vicare's music plays and says that she wants to go up against the best. You say you're the best, so let's do this. And we get a match, and this crowd was here for it. It was interesting because there were moments where I was like, man, this crowd's kind of dead a little bit. And then out of nowhere, I was like, this is awesome. It's like, oh, okay, I guess they're enjoying it. Great, sweet, awesome, cool. So it was very interesting that they did that. And like Cole is really building this up as kind of a dream match, and McAfee is doing a great job on that as well. Not their best work of the night. We'll talk about that in a second here, but, that they built this up well, that the match was great. The crowd gets into, the Devil's Kiss, and you love like the Booker T chant after, and the crowd just doing the love that. So much fun. And Stephanie Vicare in on the joke as well. But this match was great. And then Roxy comes in and attacks Io. And on the one hand, you can kind of explain away that Roxy is just like doesn't want Vicare to get this big moment or anything like that. Like she is ruining her Raw debut. And so you can get that. On the other hand, if I'm Roxy, I might wait till after the match. Or if there's absolutely going to be a win, I will get in there for sure. But I maybe want Stephanie to get beat up a little bit if I got an NXT Championship match coming up on Tuesday. I think I want her to eat a moonsault or two as this match progresses. So I don't know if I would have run in at that exact moment. But she comes in, and then Julia runs down. There's a bit of a look between Roxy and Julia, and they start going. So my initial thought is that this is a main roster call-up for Julia. It is kind of a solidifying of Roxy as a main roster competitor. And this is a tag team now. We've said the women's tag team division needs some depth. I would suggest that it needs it on the babyface side more than the heel side, but they just need depth, and they have it here with these two. So two phenomenal performers, two of the best in the world, and you get some stare downs with Julia and Rhea Ripley, who comes out and makes the save. So you tie in a few different pieces here and building it up. But this to me felt like a call-up for Julia and putting her in a tag team with Roxy. So I would be excited about that. They're two performers that are main roster ready. We did the NXT call-ups video yesterday. This is this she was on there. And so I think that there is a real value in having Julia there. And I think that this could be a very big moment for her and a very big boost to the women's division, because this is genuinely one of the best performers in the world. And then we get what was probably the segment of the day. And well, kind of building into it, the story of the day, I guess. Because first we get Jay coming out, and he does the yeet entrance and all that, and then we get the one more time. He cuts an impassioned promo. It's cool. It's a celebration. And then Sammy comes out, and they hug, they embrace. It's a great promo. Sammy saying how much it killed him not to be at WrestleMania and all of those things. And then they celebrate, and then the crowd sees it. Sammy is standing and staring at Jay. And it's like, oh my God, we're doing another turn here today. My heart cannot. And they're staring and staring and staring. And then Jay comes off, and we're celebrating again. And then Jimmy Uso comes out. And then we have this big long thing. It's a big wide shot. They are teasing the shit out of this being some kind of a heel turn. We walk all the way to the back, and there's no turn. But they put it in your minds that, hey, you knew. You thought. And maybe there might be, like they just had you eating out of the palm of their hand the whole time with that. I thought they did that so very effectively. I thought it was awesome. But it was topped because we come back from a commercial break, and Gunther is just staring daggers into Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. And you kind of could hear, like, Cole was saying like, oh man, it's great to have a champion that actually smiles and has fun. Like it was basically like we have been saved from the Wicked Witch of the West as Gunther is no longer our champion. And so Gunther, a little pissed about that, comes out and starts beaking at Michael Cole, pushes Pat McAfee aside, grabs Cole, goes to put him in a choke. McAfee comes in, Superman punch, so Gunther chokes out McAfee. The production team or whatever it may be, the Boston Connor and all those guys from McAfee's show were sitting front row. They come running up to try to get involved, and there is a part of that it's like, no, do it. Please, like by all means, I am not a McAfee show fan. I think like a lot of the stuff they do is entertaining. There's some stuff that you wish they wouldn't do, but a lot of the stuff is entertaining. But it also would have been funny to just see the mustachioed mullet guy get power bombed to hell in Las Vegas, and the guy who does a really funny Mel Kiper thing, him getting just like choked out as well. So like there would be, I think, a lot of entertainment in that. But this segment was great. Like they did an awesome job with it. Like McAfee getting choked out, the choke. It goes from, okay, this is too long to, oh shit, like, is he going to try to, are they killing Pat McAfee on Netflix? And then they pull him off, and McAfee sells his ass off. He is choking, he is coughing, it feels like he's gonna vomit, he's spitting up, like he did such an unbelievable job with this. And I think like a bit of a feud with a McAfee and a Gunther actually works. If you want to take Gunther away from the Jey Uso side of it, because I don't think you want to beat Gunther again, but I don't think you want to lose Jey Uso as the champion and have him lose right away. I think this is a good kind of pivot point to that. Have this go for a month or whatever it may be, and you get a match out of it. McAfee has shown that for a match or two he can definitely shine, and Gunther will just chop the bejesus out of him, and that'll be that, and then we'll move on. But I think this was great. I thought that like all the little details after it, like Michael Cole, he gets the Michael Cole song after, which was I thought awesome. And you know, it's nice to see the announcer, you know, as a broadcaster, it's nice to see the announcers get their flowers every now and then. But you get like, it's the little details. Like Cole is coughing on commentary, and like comes back and says he's not going to let a bully ruin the night after WrestleMania. So he's going to go back out there, but he's coughing and he is off mic. Like he's definitely doing the, hey, can we check on Pat, please? And those sorts of things. Like it's just those little touches that wouldn't have been done. Joe Tessitore coming out, and he is like he's barely in a dress shirt. It's sleeves rolled up. He has his suit jacket with him, and he is bringing it out to the ring. And I just thought they called this like it was something that had actually just happened, you know, and it legitimately was a thing that just happened. But I just they called it in such an effective way, and just added those little details and those little nuances all along that made this feel so much more believable and so great. The one thing, it did take away from a pretty fun match of Dominic Mysterio and Penta, but we get the return of JD McDonough. Obviously, there's some trouble in the Judgment Day with Finn Balor feeling a little bit on the outs right now and feeling some kind of way about a championship for one's a championship for all, right? So there's obviously more to that storyline. Finn really does need a bit of a reset. There's the talk of the zero aura wrestlers right now, and he does kind of feel in that, which is crazy, because when he gets called up and when he was in Bullet Club, he had all of it, right? Like he just had this swagger about him that was almost comical. How much swagger there was for a guy who, like, if you saw him on the street, you would not use that word as a descriptor for him. So interested to see where that goes. And then we have our main event segment. Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, they come out. You figured we weren't going to get much of an explanation here. CM Punk comes down, he's wrapping his hands up. The one line that I wish they would have included, like, they were saying, like, he's wrapping his hands looking for a fight. A couple weeks ago, Punk hadn't used the line, like, my hands aren't wrapped so I can hold a microphone. I think they would have, if he would have called back to that, it would have been great, but that's just a little nitpick. We get the brawl down. Brawl out was what it was. Rollins gets the advantage because of a Heyman distraction, and then Roman Reigns comes down, and it feels like Paul is about to get speared because Roman gets the advantage there, and then out of nowhere Braun Breaker comes in and spears the hell out of him, and then Seth is standing in the middle of the ring, and they shot this so well. Braun is looking like he's about to spear him, but it's because Punk has stood up behind Rollins and he spears him. Rollins doesn't even move, and he starts laughing and he claps and he's like, my boy. So we get the Rollins faction we were talking about. I said that this was a group that needed some muscle, and they got it with Braun Breaker. I thought this would be a good intro for Jeff Cobb, but this was a great spot to bring Braun Breaker in, and then he spears Roman Reigns through the barricade. Just phenomenal stuff. That this is great. It is the setting up of a new faction with Paul Heyman kind of at the center of it. I think that's awesome. A lot of people talking about like an evolution sort of a thing. If you want to bring one more person into it, absolutely. We talked the other day about how I am faction right now. So I thought this was great. So again, it does not erase the disappointment that we got coming out of WrestleMania, but it does set up a lot of intrigue now going forward, heading into towards Backlash. So it doesn't erase the bad memories, but it does keep you invested and does get you excited now going forward. Let's go forward ourselves and move into the world of the NBA and the NHL, as Monday Night Raw was not the only thing bringing the drama last night. The NBA playoffs have been a little bit sus so far. The NHL playoffs have not, but both delivered in spades on Monday. So let's get into the sportsy part of the podcast as we talk some basketball. The NBA playoffs have been a bit of a dud so far. That changed yesterday as we had a couple pretty fun games in the association. Up first, it was the Pistons and the Knicks, and I thought that the Knicks talent would eventually win out, and they would be able to come away with a pretty convincing series win over the Pistons, but credit Detroit, like getting a win at MSG, now having this tied up at 1, going back to Detroit. This is, I mean, it's best case scenario for the Pistons. And you could see like they were comfortable in game 1. Or sorry, they weren't comfortable at times in game 1, but they were starting to get their legs under them, and then the Knicks just took it out right from underneath them. But for this team to come back in that way in game 2, it shows a lot. And it now, like this feels like a series. And that's tough for the Knicks because they have used a lot of their, or not a lot of their guys, but they have used up a lot of minutes with their guys this season. And I think they kind of needed this one to be like a 4 or 5 game series. If this is a drag them out 6 or 7 game series, that's... Look, I don't know how much of a shot the Knicks have against the Cavs in the next round anyway, but if they wanted any hope of it, I think this had to be a bit of a quick one. Given the miles that are on Brunson and he comes up limping in game 1, given the miles that were on Hart, OG Anunoby has been great, but you are kind of just waiting for that to fall apart as well. So given everything that was going on with this Knicks team, I think they kind of needed this one to be a little bit quicker than it was. And for the Pistons to come out now with this series tied at 1, really important stuff for them. So kudos to them for that. But also the real drama of the day was the Denver Nuggets taking on the LA Clippers in game 2 of their series. And game 1 was close. The Clippers just couldn't get the big stop when they needed it. This time they got the big stops when they needed it. And Kawhi Leonard was excellent. Oh, he was so good in this game. And it's just those little cerebral things that he does. Like, and again, like you guys can see, obviously, fan. But like they're obviously gonna bring a double at him when it's a 1-point game late. Westbrook is cheating over. Like he's basically, you may as well just bring the double at that point. And like it's a little thing, but he recognizes that. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going this way then. And he just dribbles up, and instead of driving into all the help and everything, just pulls up mid-range jumper, boom, knocks it down. Just it's perfection. And it's a little thing, but a lot of guys would have, all right, well, I'm going to the hole, so I'm just going to drive into that help and then 2 more bits of help that are coming after, and I'm going to force up a tough shot. It's like, I'm one of the best mid-range players that's ever existed in the history of the sport, so I'm just going to do that again, and we're going to be cool with it. Great. Like he was awesome. Norm Powell really tried really hard to hit the big shots late, and then finally comes up with an absolute what felt like a dagger at the time of a 3-ball. And now credit Denver for battling back to every time they would claw back into it, but it felt like that. Like, it felt like they were clawing back in, right? It didn't feel like it was just oh man, and the Clippers got us. No, this was, they were just scratching and clawing for everything they could get. And somehow they were just hanging around. And then they get an opportunity with the ball late, and Brown has a chance to tie the game, and he puts up the Carlton Banks 3-pointer. Jokic gets the rebound, turns around, and just heaves it, and it's off. And this series is now tied at 1 game apiece. You knew this was going to be close, and you knew this was going to be a grind of a series, but that, like, the score was in doubt for most of it. But if you took the scoreboard away, it just felt like the Clippers were the better team in that game on Monday night. They felt like they were more in control of that. And then at some point it was just Jokic was like, all right, I guess I have to win this one now. And I think sometimes we can overplay depth in the NBA. I remember, again, from a Raptors standpoint, when it's the bench mob. They got the deepest team in the league. It's like, okay, that's awesome in the regular season. But now LeBron's playing 45 minutes. So depth doesn't seem to really matter because they've got their bench down to 6. And they're winning. So does this matter? No. A lot of it comes down to how much you can get from your stars and how much you can squeeze out of them. And Denver, it is clear, is going to have to squeeze every last drop out of Jokic to get it done. Murray had some big moments in game 1 and a couple here in game 2. MPJ was great as a rebounder, and that, I think that is going to have to be where Denver's advantage now comes in, because like Zubats is doing a pretty good job, as good of a job as he can on Jokic. Like where Jokic struggled honestly in the last game was the free throw line, but the turnovers too, I guess. And you can put a lot of that credit on Zubats for the pressure that he is putting on a Jokic and kind of forcing some of those issues. But it does feel like everywhere else there's a bit of a size advantage for Denver, and so I think there maybe you want to utilize that a little bit more, and it would become a bit of a spacing nightmare to have MPJ and Gordon down in the block like that all the time, but you have size advantages there and there. So I guess if you want to pull Jokic out a little bit, have MPJ and Gordon, I know you like to open them up at the corners there, but have them using their size advantage down by the rim, and then you can still have Murray and Brown out in the corners or out at the elbow kind of as your 3-point shooting and stuff like that. Like I think there might be some ways that you can play around with potentially trying to maximize a size advantage that they appear to have here in this series. So that could be an adjustment there for Denver, but credit the Clippers. Defensively, they really buckled down and forced a lot of turnovers, and Denver, like, Jokic is great, and far be it for me to criticize a guy who gets a triple-double again in the postseason, but I think they kind of needed him to be a little bit better, and those turnovers were a bit tough. And I think, again, credit to Zubats, but a great night in the NBA. I am not anticipating the same for tonight with Bucks Pacers, with the Grizzlies and the Thunder, and with the Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. That one I think will be good. I think we'll get a good bounce back here from Los Angeles. But the Bucks, that was a really concerning game 1 performance with just how bad they looked defensively, just all over, right? Like, they had to work for everything on offense. And for Memphis, like, they're not close. The spread in that game's 14.5. I, with a smile on my face and a tear in my eye, will take Oklahoma City minus 14.5 there. I do think the Lakers bounce back in the spot against the Timberwolves tonight. But again, not anticipating a drama-filled night the same way we got on Monday. We certainly got a lot of drama in the NHL as well, as the Stanley Cup playoffs rolled on with some classics on Monday night. We teased it at the top. Let's dive in with some hockey talk. The NHL playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, if you're nasty, continued on Monday night with a few absolute bangers in the National Hockey League. The playoffs have been delivering so far in the NHL. We'll break them down in a sec, but first, just want to remind you guys, if you could share these videos that we're putting out if you're watching it, or the podcast too, if you're listening after, really do appreciate it. All that kind of stuff really does help as we try to spread the word and grow this show here. Really liking going live, really liking a lot of the stuff that we've been doing. Just want some of you who are enjoying these to have more people to enjoy them with, right? So share the videos. That would really be appreciated. The big one of the night was the last one of the night, as the Edmonton Oilers comeback falls 1 goal short as they fall 6-5 to the Los Angeles Kings. And now, first of all, I take my shots at Edmonton, but credit the Oilers in this game for that comeback. We will disparage it in a moment, but to come back in that sort of a way on the road in under those circumstances was excellent by them. So credit the Oilers, credit McDavid, because he was unbelievable in the comeback and in that game. But a lot of this comes down to what part of that game are you willing to buy? And I'm sorry, like, the comebacks are cool. Comebacks are great. They're exciting and all of that. And maybe there's some momentum built on this from Edmonton's side. But I'm going to trust the part of the game that I saw when both teams had like the same score and were pushing in the same way, not the one where one team was up by 4 and took their foot off the gas, and then the best player in the world got to be the best player in the world against a team that looked awfully similar to the one that Zane Parekh scored against a couple of nights ago. So while I do appreciate what it took for the Oilers to come back in this game, I am also not going to be sucked into thinking that, well, now they've got them right where they want them, because I do think score effects are a thing. And I think that the LA Kings, the control they showed to go up by 4 is a little bit more reminiscent of what I think this game actually was than the Oilers' frantic comeback at the end. So which one do I think is more repeatable? I think it's the Kings' control that's more repeatable than what the Oilers did in coming back in that game. I thought Kuzmenko was phenomenal on Monday night, and he has been such an important piece to the Oilers with the speed that he is able to show and the high-level skill that he can bring on the offensive side. We know he is limited defensively, but you put him with Kopitar and Kempe, and it kind of doesn't matter what he does defensively, because those guys are going to get the job done. And then, like, that Kempe goal, I think it was the 4-0 one, where you just kind of see the high-level skill involved. Because Kopitar, like, when he retires, we're going to remember him as a guy who just won a lot. But I think a lot of people are going to remember the defensive side of things. He's a really talented offensive player as well. And you get Kempe rushing in for a chance. He is stopped. Kopitar wins the puck in the corner, slides it across, and Kuzmenko, the absolutely perfect one-touched, quick little, it's on my stick, it's off my stick, it's in the front of the net, it's in the net. That was just a high level of awareness and skill from Kuzmenko to get that puck quickly. Most guys would be well within their rights to, by the way, but most guys would take that for a second, one stick handle, and then in front, and you get a chance, and maybe it doesn't go in. But Kuzmenko knew exactly what he wanted to do with that puck the second it started traveling towards him, and it was just a quick boom and in the back of the net. Phenomenal high-level stuff from the Kings, and they get a second line going as well. Like, it makes this team dangerous now when you have that top line being able to be a shutdown line and also a high-level scoring one, with Fiala and Byfield also adding a bit of offense. Like, this team has turned into an offensive juggernaut in the back part of this season, and they still have the defensively responsible characteristics that got them to this point and got them home ice advantage here in the first round. Like, there was one stretch, and again, McDavid was brilliant in this game, but he has a stretch where he comes rushing down the right wing. And how many times have we seen this? He comes busting it down that right wing, cuts it into the middle, makes some kind of absurd move that you can't even do in the video game, and then bing, bang, boom, it's in the back of the net. But instead, he does that cut into the middle, and the Kings did such a great job of their defensive responsibility of just being able to push him up and push him up and push him up. So like they're not knocking him off. They're barely even slowing him down, really, but they're altering his course enough that he is now not in a high danger scoring area. They all are when you're him, but he's now being pushed just a little bit further away from the front of the net, gets that shot on goal. It's stopped because now Kemper has a little bit more room to be able to decipher what the best player on the planet is going to do, and he is able to make a save. It's just those little things that the Kings do that are very important. They pointed out on the broadcast how they were trying to slow him down a little bit as well in the neutral zone. There's very little slowing down of him you can do, but I thought the Kings did a good job with some of those details of just kind of forcing him up a little bit higher and a little bit further out of his comfort zone. I thought they were great. I thought the Kings played a great game, and then the Oilers make a big comeback. But again, one of those I'm willing to buy, and it's not the Oilers' frantic comeback in the third period. Just also one quick note. And I know, like, full disclosure, I'm a freelancer for Sportsnet on Sportsnet 960, but the freelancer agreement makes it almost insultingly clear that I'm not an employee. So I feel like I can say this stuff and it's okay. I don't like having the local guys calling the game. And that's not a knock. Like, on Michaels and DeBrusque. I think that they bring a lot of energy, and I like if Michaels was a national dude, that just zero wouldn't even bat an eye. It's like, yeah, no, that is a National Hockey League national broadcaster, zero whatever. But it's two things. One, there is going to be a bit of an inherent bias there, and I like they weren't over the top with it, but we were 23 minutes into the hockey game. It was, I think, that 2 or 3-0 for the Kings. And they were already talking about, well, this Oilers group hasn't dressed together all season long. Like this unit that they have playing right now, this is unique, and they've never done this before with the Oilers. And so this Kings unit, aside from a couple of moves, this Kings unit has played together all year, which you can poke holes in. McDavid and Heyman have played the last 8 years together, which is exaggerating, but only a little bit. They have a couple of new pieces in the lineup. For sure they do. And maybe there's going to be a bit of a chemistry thing, and you would like to not dress a first-time lineup in the playoffs. I will grant you that. That's something you talk about when it's 4-1 in the third period, not 2-0 2 minutes into the second period. So that was just a little bit of we're kind of making excuses for the Oilers. And then on the 3-0 goal, when you listen to that compared to the 4-1 goal, there's a difference there, right? And so I understand that these are very good broadcasters. And I kind of understand why you do it, because for some of these games, you then get to save money on hotels and shit, right? So I do understand the aspect of it. And if I was a local dude, local makes it sound like whatever. But if I am their regional guy for 82 games, I would understand why you would then want to do the playoffs, right? Like that would be a cool thing to do, no doubt about it. But I also think that there is just an inherent bias with that shouldn't be present in the postseason. And now you can very easily counter to me with, well, Breen does, Cuthbert is the regional guy for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now he does national games. And you're right, and I don't like that one either. And I wish he wasn't the regional guy, right? Like, I wish he was just doing Wednesday Night Hockey and just doing Hockey Night in Canada, which then encapsulates about 70% of Leafs games anyway. But still, I wish that there was just a bit of a separation there. And the other reason is, this is the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's not supposed to sound like the Oilers' regular season games, right? It's not supposed to sound like what you get to see in February when they're playing Columbus. This is supposed to be different. That this is supposed to sound like it is the playoffs, and it's supposed to look different, and it's supposed to feel different, and it doesn't. It sounds like every other Oilers game, and that irks me a little bit. And so, again, not taking a shred of anything away from the play-by-play guys who are doing that, right? And look, I'd be saying the same thing if it was Calgary, and I think Abbott's awesome. And I didn't like it when Rick Ball got to call Flames games, and Rick Ball, I think, is genuinely one of the top 2 or 3 play-by-play guys in the National Hockey League. And I was still like, this sounds like every Flames game, though, and I don't like it. So I just wish there was a bit more of a separation there between national broadcasts and regional broadcasts, but that has been a Sportsnet thing for forever, and I am sure it is a financial thing. Moving on, shall we? We look now at what was another really fun game between the Montreal Canadiens and the Washington Capitals. And again, it is what do you take more seriously? Do you take the Capitals controlling most of this game, or do you take Montreal playing like their pants are on fire in the third period and coming out and forcing this game to overtime? Again, I am still going to believe that Washington is the better team in this series. I'm not going to really read too much into what we saw from that particular comeback for Montreal. It does feel like a missed opportunity for the Habs to get that one into overtime and not be able to finish that comeback off. Again, it's an amazing experience for these kids, and it is a really impressive comeback for them. I don't want to take anything away from either of the comebacks, Montreal or Edmonton, but Washington is the better hockey team here. And so this felt like a missed opportunity for both of the Canadian teams in their losses yesterday. It felt like a missed opportunity to get one in Washington for Montreal and get kind of that confidence and get that whatever. Instead, like overtime, that was controlled by Washington. Dubois with a really strong play in the neutral zone, and I am not one to credit him a whole lot, but a really strong play in the neutral zone helped set up some opportunities. McMichael, a good back check, keeps those opportunities going. A bit of controversy on the icing with Patrick Laine getting knocked over, and did he or didn't he or whatever, but they get an offensive zone faceoff, does Washington, and then some excellent work from Beauvillier to get that puck, a perfect pass in front, and Alex Ovechkin does his best Bryce Harper and knocks it into the net, and the Washington Capitals escape with a victory. So again, for Washington, it's a bit of a wake-up. It is a lesson that this Montreal team is for real, regardless of when they clinched a playoff spot. They are certainly going to be a team that is going to battle, and is certainly going to be a team that is going to make you work for this one. But it was also, we are better than them. We got this win. Let's settle down and let's prove how much better we are going into game number 2. And for Montreal, it does feel like a bit of a missed opportunity, but a great learning experience for some of their young kids in that one. The Dallas Stars get a much needed win over the Colorado Avalanche as Blackwell gets the goal in overtime. Some really good work at the front of the net to set that one up. I had it in my notes. Who was that? But either way, Blackwell ends up getting the job done in overtime in what was just such a high level, very well played hockey game last night out in Dallas. It was Steele. That's who it was. It was Steele with the battle in front, ties up the defenseman. That allows Blackwell to come in, get his shot, basically circle around the net, and come back to the puck and score it again. A perfect shot. Not a whole lot that Blackwood could do on that. But now we got a series that this was a must win for Dallas. You do not want to go back to Colorado down 2-0. Because then even if you get a split, it's still 3-1 and you're in some trouble there. So for them to come away with that win was just massive for them. And you could see the urgency and the desperation of that team and how big this game was for them. And I think that they kind of outmatched Colorado when it came to the desperation aspect of it. For Colorado, they are obviously like quite good. And generating a lot of chances and getting a lot of zone time. This was a game where they had a little bit more trouble keeping Dallas out of their zone. Dallas got significantly more of the puck than they did in game 1. The other part of it is that like Ottinger hasn't been great in this series. He's had a couple of moments, but there have been now a few goals that have got through him that you're just wondering how they're getting through him. And so for the Avalanche, like, again, you will take it. You're putting the pucks on net. You are getting those opportunities. Some of them are going to go in. That's how this sport works. But I do think that there is a little bit of, hey, we've kind of got lucky on a few of these now. We maybe need to generate a few more, like, actual dangerous scoring opportunities to take advantage of this and kind of get back to playing our game. Because Dallas upped their level for game 2 in a significant way. And it was kind of everyone, right? But it was the vets. Like Ben was just an absolute stud out there at some times, winning some puck battles, creating some great opportunities. Sagan, I believe, got a goal. Yeah, he did. He got a goal in the game last night. He was noticeable, which is very important for them. Hintz was flying. Johnston was flying. Like, they just had that speed and that desperation that you need in a situation like that. So the Dallas Stars, I think last game's score certainly was not indicative of what that game actually looked like, but they were the second best team in game 1. And so for them to bounce back in this way and just remind everyone, like, hey, just so you know, we're really good too. And put that pressure now on the Avalanche going into game number 3, I think that was a nice reminder. And if Ottinger can really show up and have that advantage, because right now Blackwood is kind of the better goalie. He made a phenomenal save at the start of overtime. Doesn't matter, but he made a phenomenal save at the start of overtime. He's been out goalieing Ottinger so far. If that becomes the check mark in Dallas's column that we thought it was going to be, that's going to be really difficult for the Avalanche to overcome as things kind of level off in this series. But again, a really fun night of hockey. Last one, the Winnipeg Jets hold on for a victory here over the St. Louis Blues in game 2. And this was such a desperately needed performance by Connor Hellebuck, who ends up giving up just the one goal in this game in a 2-1 victory over St. Louis. And look, I didn't watch 100% of this game, so I don't know if it was just like a whatever, but just the fact that he skates off the ice after 60 minutes of of playoff hockey, and there is only a 1 in that score column, it could be on the only fucking shot of the game. That don't matter. This guy had allowed 3 goals in basically every playoff game he had ever played in. And by the way, if he did that in this game, they lose. So for him to come out and have that type of a performance, is so important for him and makes it feel like the Winnipeg Jets really do have a chance now in this one. And one other note, the way they defended in the last 3 minutes of this game was an art form. They did such a great job of limiting what St. Louis could do with the net empty. They're trying to get their forecheck set up. They're trying to get anything set up. And Winnipeg, they're just cutting it off. Pionk with a heck of a read and a really good play to cut off a cycle and clear that puck. And they didn't let them get set up at all in the offensive zone. It made for a boring ass last couple of minutes because St. Louis, there was no drama. The Blues were not getting set up at all. But Winnipeg defended their asses off in that spot and played a very, very good defensive game overall and got what they needed to do. They won 2 games in the whiteout, and now they go back to St. Louis. And if they can get just one of those, they're going to be in very good shape, considering what now looks like to be a bit of a grinded out series in the rest of the Central with Dallas and Colorado. So a really entertaining night in the NHL, NBA, and WWE on a Monday. That's going to do it for this stream here today. Again, if you missed any of it, that's fine. But you can get it in podcast form if you are watching on the stream here live. If you're listening in podcast form, you know this already. And if you are listening, you can get these shows immediately live on youtube.com/@couchpotatodiary, twitch.tv/primetimepk, as well as kick.com/primetimepk. For those watching on Twitch, I will be seeing you in just a little bit, as it is on video game day here. We are going to be playing the our Flames rebuild, trying to get this one finished in 2 years and get that one going. But a lot of I enjoy playing the games. It's fun. A lot of it is basically just a live chat to come talk some hockey, talk whatever's going on in the world of sports or in your life. Toxic, a regular in the chat. We found out he's got a new job, and we're stoked for him on that. So yeah, just come in, talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's just a chill chat. Not a Chell Chat, which is hosted by Liz Hooded, a phenomenal podcast that you should also check out. But yeah, we'll come in, we'll talk some hockey, we'll have some fun on the video game stream. That is 3 o'clock Mountain Time. And then we'll be back tomorrow, also on twitch.tv/primetimepk at 10 a.m. Doing another baseball stream on there. The next time we are live with Couch Potato Diary is going to be on Thursday as we get ready for the weekend, recap the last couple of days, and we'll be getting ready for the NFL draft. So now that WrestleMania season is behind us, we are going to be a few less podcasts, I think, going forward. The stream amount is going to be the same, but I don't know if we're going to be just fully loading up on the Tuesday one so that we can divide it into a couple of shows. We might do that on a few occasions, like a fight week here and there, but the podcast will be brought down just a little bit, but keeping the video game streams and the regular streams going as often as possible. So follow me on social media. I am at PrimetimeKlein. If you want some great Calgary swag, head over to seaofdead403.ca. Get that Calgary swag. We got the Cannons hat here. Perfect for getting out to the ballpark. And more stuff coming soon. So check it all out there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out here on a Tuesday. We'll talk again in a little bit, playing some video games over on Twitch. Have a great next couple of hours, everyone.